Well, hey, good morning. It's Saturday, September something, whatever the weekend before the 25th is, 18th maybe. Saturday morning, I had intended to leave Friday night to go on my sailing trip, but the weather just did not cooperate last night. We had really strong north winds. It was kicking up 6 to 8 foot waves on the lake. It just would not have been a great time to be out anchored on the lake. It's also pretty chilly. I think it was down in the 40s or so last night. It's warming up now. I think it'll be in the 60s today, but it'll be chilly again tonight on the lake, I'm sure. So I'm headed out. We're gonna go see what the lake conditions are like, see if we can sail off to one of the kind of southeast shores a little bit, over towards Indiana Dunes, Michigan City. We'll just have to see what the waves action is like. I'm hoping the north winds subsided last night. This morning it kind of looks like it's a little bit a light easterly breeze, so hopefully the waves have kind of settled down. That'll be the key thing. I'm not worried about the cold, but I am worried about high wave action and trying to anchor off the beach and getting pushed up on the shore. So hopefully with a switch to an easterly wind tonight, that will minimize those dangers. We'll just have to see if it's comfortable enough to anchor out there. So we'll have more later from the marina. Well, the sailing saga continues. Just now leaving the marina. We have a beautiful south wind right now, blowing about 12 knots, 10 to 12. So that's fantastic. That's going to carry us east towards Indiana Dunes, I think, really well. The lake is still a little messed up, choppy-wise, but nothing like it was yesterday, I imagine. We're still behind the steel mill, so we'll have to see when we get out there a little bit farther, but I don't think it's going to be too bad. And then as we approach the Indiana Dunes on the southeast shore there, I'm hoping the winds will stay south or east and give us a little bit of break tonight from the waves. So there's a little bit of wave action now. I'm not sure if that's remnants from yesterday or what, but it doesn't matter. We're sailing. It's chilly. I got my foul weather coat on just for a windbreaker because it's kind of chilly. Probably in the 50s. It's supposed to warm up a little bit today. I think it'll probably be pleasant sleeping weather as long as the boat's kept kind of closed up. So anyway, it should be good. So our mission now is to sail east and get over to the Indiana Dunes today, which I don't think will be a challenge with this wind, hopefully, which is a pleasant surprise. When I looked at the wind forecast last night, it was predicting like 4 or 5 knots maybe. When I looked at it at home this morning, it said 7, and we're blowing 12, so that's great. Good wind. I've got my full mainsail up and one reef, maybe a half a reef in the jib. One other boat went out right before us. The crew of 3, 127, I think it is. So I'm a little bit behind them, but my goal now is to try and chase them down, make it a race today. So anyway, we're out. We're enjoying the sail. It's cool. We're wearing sunglasses though, so hopefully it'll be a good sailing day. We'll have more later. I found a new app on my phone that comes in handy since I don't have a lean gauge on the boat right now. Took it off, didn't work very well. But anyway, in the Apple measurement utilities, there's a level. And I turn that on, set my phone down on my cockpit steering wheel table there, and we got it up to about 18 degrees of keel, maybe 20 occasionally, 15 kind of normal. So anyway, it was kind of cool to be able to see what the actual lean is. Sometimes when that wind puffs up, we get up to 20 degrees of heel, but it hasn't gone over that. So it was kind of fun just to see what it was. So we're still in the sunshine. It's still chilly. We're making good progress though. And hopefully we'll get over to the anchorage this afternoon and decide whether we keep sailing from there or we take it easy this afternoon and finish up a few boat projects. Water temperature's about 69 degrees, so I don't know about a swim, but maybe. I guess we'll see what the conditions are like over there. So we'll have more later. Well, it's about 10 o'clock. We've been sailing for about an hour here. About 5 miles, 5.5. I'll reef on the main just to see if I can do it while I was under sail. It worked. I'm using that new reefing line. I got a couple of ideas though to make it a little better. I'll have to practice with that a little bit more, but we got it. Not too many ships out on the sea. I do see a white something over there. Can't tell if it's a sail or a boat. Doesn't really look like a sailboat. And the guy that I was chasing, he's back there. He might have turned around. I don't know if he's headed back or what. We're still, carrying 10 knots, maybe 12, sometimes 15 knots of wind. Still a little bit choppy, not horrible. And certainly, I think when we get to the anchorage, they're off the beach, it should be okay. We're about 13 miles from our destination. I have 2 different waypoints marked on the map for the dunes. One is a little farther away than the other, and I think we'll just sail up there and see what the conditions are like. If I remember correctly, one of them was pretty close to the steel mill. I know I anchored there once before. I don't know if I want to anchor there or not. Depends on what the waves are like. If that steel mill blocks a lot of the wave action, that might be the ideal place to sail. But if not, we'll just probably go up a little bit further along the coast there, get into the little more rural part of the dunes where there's no people. Hopefully no industry for sure. So anyway, things are comfortable. Boat's sailing great. Still chilly. I did take off my fall weather jacket for now, but it is a little chilly, so might have to put it back on. Anyway, we're still making our way, a little over an hour into the trip. We'll have more from the Great Lakes, Michigan sail. I don't know if you can see Chicago out there in the distance. Probably not. I'll have to break out some other cameras later. Right now I'm just using my phone. I'll get out the GoPro and the other camera later. Alright, check in later. Well, we're still slogging away, sailing east towards Michigan City and Indiana Dunes. Get past this sailboat, right down. Taking a pretty conservative tack, jib only. Probably trying to stay out of some of the waves out here. It's a little choppy. But I think when I get up close to the shoreline, since it's kind of an east-southeast wind, or south-southeast wind, it should be pretty calm. Up against the shoreline, so that's where we're headed. We put in the GPS to get to Indiana Dunes area, and it says on this tag we should get there about 1 o'clock, so that's pretty good. Well, no dolphins in our wake. Oh, wait a minute, I forgot, we're in freshwater, Lake Michigan. So no dolphins in our wake today. That's our destination out there. The Indiana Dunes State Park Beach. I I've anchored there before. Actually, last year I think I anchored there for the night. It's only about 8 or 10 miles from the marina. But if I would have gone last night, I might have anchored there for the night and then made it the rest of the way to the dunes. But since I left in the morning and had pretty much all day to get there, why not just go straight to the dunes? So one real positive thing after some problems with our autopilot earlier in the summer, I got everything working now. You can see the boat steering itself. Sail looks great. And we're making 5 knots maybe 6. Depends on the wind, but anyway, we're making our way. Kind of died down a little bit. So we've got all the sails out now, full jib, full main. It's maybe about 10 knots if that. So we're making our way over towards the dunes, where I hope to drop the anchor. Hopefully the winds will stay kind of south, which was not expected for at least what I saw. Wasn't really expected to be a south wind today, but we'll take it. Makes traveling east and west a whole lot easier. And it should make for a decent anchorage off the beach, I hope. Alright, well, I'll probably make my way back to the cockpit. Make sure Otto keeps us on track here and doesn't let us go off in any direction. Seems to be doing alright. Cool day, but not a bad day to be sailing out on. All right, well, we shook a reef out of the main now. Wind's kind of seemed to calm a little bit. Of course, as soon as I put it back up, they picked up. It's comfortable, blowing about 13 knots, so we're doing fine. That other boat left, looks like. Up there is the steel mill that we're going to go past and then hug the shore a little bit more. The main sheet worked great. I was able to ease that a lot just to get the sail reef out of the sail. No problem. My single line reefing worked great. So that's good. I ended up putting on a wool cap and put my ollie back on. Just that wind is kind of chilly. So once we get to the anchorage and out of the wind a little bit, I think it'll be fine. It's a little cool out here on the lake. Water's up to 71.7, so I'm thinking I might be able to take a swim. Let's see. So we switched cameras. We're now using our Samsung little camcorder. Hopefully better quality maybe. See how long the battery lasts, though. That's a challenge with this thing. Okay, well, more later as we continue to make our way along the South Lake Michigan shore, headed to the Indiana Dunes. Chicago there. I see one sailboat out there, and I saw a power boater right over there. Other than that, not much going on out here. I don't even see any commercial ships today. So, we'll have more later. So this trip has a little bit of everything going on. So, we've been out for about 2 hours. Still got like almost 9 miles to the anchorage. So we're about halfway. And the wind just completely petered out, and it has shifted around to the east pretty much, so east, south, southeast. So kind of right where we're trying to head. So we fired up the engine and we're motor sailing now. Still got the mainsail up, making about 5 knots, but with the engine on. You notice that black rope there, I threw that in too. Just when it was choppy, I didn't want to fall in and have the boat sail away without me. So a little bit of everything, motor sailing now. Hoping the wind picks up a little bit, because it'd be nice to be able to sail the last bit into the beaches, but right now it's kind of off our nose and extremely light. So we're gonna head towards shore a little bit, and then maybe when we tack a little bit further down the coast, maybe we can pick up some breeze there, I'm hoping. So that's kind of the plan at the moment. See if we can get over there before bedtime. And in order to do that, looks like we're gonna have to motor a little bit. So anyway, we'll putz along here a little bit and see if we pick up a breeze, and if so, we'll get the jib back out and shut the motor off. But for now, it's a motor sail. I don't know if you can see that big barge that we went past, and you can see the Chicago skyline. Really pretty. Wish I brought the 35mm now. Anyway, we're still motoring along in glassy water. You can see the dunes up there, though. I mean, we are getting at least close to land again. Not sure exactly where we're going to spend the night, but we'll get up there. We'll see if we can sail at all, or if it's just like glass like it is right now. Water is very calm. So that's good for being anchored, but it's not so good for sailing. So I guess we'll see what happens as we get up closer to shore. Still motoring away, motor sailing. Saw this big power boat cruising along the shoreline there, if you can see them. It's kind of picturesque if you look, you know, right along this area. Unfortunately, we got industry there. Ugly. That's a decommissioned power plant there, I believe. That's an active steel mill. And then you've got, you know, more of the dunes area until you get all the way out there. And that is an active power station there. It's a cooling tower, I believe. But in between, there's, you know, some pretty shoreline, and waves are non-existent other than a little bit of a swell in here. It's kind of strange. Where the swell's coming from, I don't know. But we're still motoring, and I think we're going to end up having to motor all the way to the anchorage because the wind's really kind of shifted along a little bit to the east, about in the same direction that we really want to go. We're just kind of aiming towards shore now, and then we'll hug the coast a little more. Looks like our power boater guy is stopping there, maybe. Anyway, the good news about motoring, if there is any good news, our batteries will be fully charged, and B, we have hot water, at least for a while after we stop motoring. So the hot water heater either runs off you know, AC power at the shore, at the dock, or it'll heat itself from the engine antifreeze that circulates through the system. And so one way to get hot water is just to motor for a little bit, and it heats up the water pretty hot. So even though I don't love motoring, we'll have some hot water, I guess. And our power boater didn't stop there for long. He's still going. I'm trying to figure out where the Dunes beach house is. It should be like right over there, but I can't really see it that well. Haven't seen many boats out. I saw that one barge that came out of the steel mill area here at Burns Harbor. The power boat and a couple other pleasure boats out here, but that's about it. So I checked the engine real quick. The shaft log first, stuffing box. Seems like it's running okay, not too hot. Not throwing off a lot of water, which is good, but it's also not running too hot, so that's positive. And I checked the belts on it. They look like they're plenty tight, not flapping too loose, so that's good. The engine's just humming along. I'm running at about 2,500 RPMs or so. Yeah, 2,600 probably. I can run her harder, but I don't see any reason to. You know, we're making a little over 5 knots. We could push her to 6, but I don't see any reason to run it that hard right now. We're also trying to conserve fuel. So one of the problems with motoring today is we're down to about 1/4 of a tank of fuel. And I have a little bit in a can, you know, for kind of like an emergency. I don't know how much is in that can, probably a gallon. So we are motoring today quite a bit. I checked on it though, it was still 1/4 of a tank. This boat burns maybe a ½ gallon an hour, I think. Something like that. So I've been motoring though 10 miles. It'll be 10 miles probably. So that's 2 gallons. Yeah. Wait, we gotta go by hours. So let's say I'm motoring for 2 hours. That's a gallon of gas or a gallon of diesel. I guess that's not so bad. And tomorrow the winds are supposed to be out of the east. And so we could potentially just sail downwind tomorrow to get home. Even if it was light wind, we could fly the spinnaker tomorrow downwind, might be fun. But that assumes that, you know, we end up with an east wind. And let's see, we want to go somewhere straight back there. I mean, we're going almost due east now, and tomorrow we want to go back due west. So I guess we'll see what the weather and the winds bring tomorrow. Well, I'm just gonna keep motoring. You can see a little bit of that swell, maybe. Kind of weird. I'm not sure if that's because a boat went by or if there's something going on out there on the further out to sea, out on the lake. A little bit undulating, but anyway, it's no choppy waves, so I think anchoring is not going to be a problem at all. So we'll just keep on going and pick our anchorage once we get a little bit east of the Dunes beach house. Is kind of what I'm thinking. Somewhere where there's no people and no other boats. So we'll give you some more updates as we go along. All right, well, finally dropped off the engine. Got a little bit of breeze here. I don't know if we can make it all the way to the anchorage on wind, but at least we shut off the engines for a little bit. A little view of the beaches here. Properties up on the hill. Looks nice. Wind's very light, 8 knots. But we are making a little bit of progress now, and right dead in front of us is the Indiana Dunes State Park, or beach house. Might be hard to see. And we're gonna sail up a little bit further up the coast there and try to find a nice quiet place with no houses in front of it. And looks like there's people on the beach. And I don't know if Mount Baldy is open. That's where a dune kind of collapsed and the kid got swallowed up in a hole. They rescued him, but they closed it for a while. I don't know if it's reopened. Anyway, it's nice to have the engine off. We'll focus on trying to sail up the coast a little bit. Drop anchors. Oddly enough, the wind is, well, maybe that's east, but now it feels like it's coming from off the lake instead of off the shore. But we'll see. We'll make the best of it. No chop, so that's good. We should be able to anchor in this okay. So more later. Up on the hill there. Some not so nice ones, I guess, but a lot of expensive ones. I'm not sure if that's Beverly Shore. What section of it is. Probably part of the Gary area. High-end gear. Nice homes up there though. So we're just kind of ghosting along here at leisurely 3.5 knots. Looking at all the people on the beach. Not a lot of people, but a few people out there. Don't see too many people in the water. Water temp's still 70. So we're trying to hug the coast and get up to the water. Yep, still pretty tight. Fire up the water and we'll keep ghosting along here and see if we can get up around Mount Baldy area. Drop the anchor. We're in 21 feet of water here. It was 14. So you can see we're pretty far from the shore, but it's only 20 feet out here. The Dunes Beach House that I was trying to find. So we're just keep ghosting along here, and we have all the people on the beach. Make our way up the coast. Hopefully, make it to the anchor in an hour or so. 3.5 hours, going 17 miles. Unfortunately, a fair amount of that was motoring, but finally got catching a little bit of a breeze here off the lake. So, we'll get to the anchorage in an hour. Well, we just fired up the motor again, mostly because the water is getting shallower and shallower. To keep the sails full, we'd have to be aiming towards the beach, and we're already down to 8 feet of water here. So we're gonna just hug the shore here with a little bit of engine boost. Like I said, we're in 7.5 feet of water here, so we can't get too much closer to shore. I don't want to get blown up to shore, and so we're just gonna kind of do an easy motor up the shoreline here, keeping an eye on the depth gauge. Don't want to go much below 7 feet, and We're gonna go up closer to Mount Baldy. Hopefully, a few less people around. There's a lot of people on the beach. Not that there's anything wrong with people on the beach, but yeah, out here we're pretty quiet. Shoreline curves, a little bit, so we have to like keep heading out a little bit. Right now we're showing 6 feet of water. I don't want to get much shallower than that, so we have to aim offshore just a little bit. Our boat only draws like 4.5 feet. I don't know exactly where the transducer is and if the depth gauge is reading exactly to the bottom of the keel or what. One of the things we're going to do today after we anchor is see what the depth gauge is, and then we're gonna sound or put a stick or something down to the bottom of the sand and see just how accurate our depth gauge is. Because I don't exactly know. I think it's off a little bit, and so we probably should try to get it a little more. Figure out if when it says 4.5 feet, are we right at the bottom, or are we got a foot of clearance there? I don't really know. So we'll. That's on my to-do list today, is to check that out and see. So we're still just hugging the coast, 7 feet of water. We're going to go up here a little bit further where Mount Baldy is. I think that's where we'll plan to drop anchor. So we'll probably be this far out, pretty close to this far out away from the beach. I did not bring any boat, kayak, paddleboard, or anything else. The water temp's down to 69.5. So certainly I'm not going to swim to shore. So I think we'll be spending the afternoon doing a few boat chores. Got a few projects lined up to work on out here. Haven't had lunch yet, so that'll be the first order of business after we get the anchor down. Anyway, the good news is we should have some hot water and we should have plenty of power in the batteries. They'll be all topped off, hopefully, motoring a ways. And so I'll get more from the anchorage. So we're still kind of ghosting along the coast here. We're almost, I think, to the Mount Baldy. Not exactly sure. We're still hugging the coast and making, a couple of knots, 3 or 4 knots, sometimes 5. The wind's pinching us up again a bit. We're in 9 feet of water here, and yeah, we're kind of pinched up a bit. So what I was kind of thinking I might do, since it's only 1 o'clock, I'm about where I want to anchor anyway. The wind is kind of coming off our nose, so if I head out into the lake, I can probably get a good, good broad beam reach going, and get a little bit of a fast sail in, and then aim back for this area to spend the night. So I think that's what we're going to do. All right, so we tacked, and we're headed out into the lake now. Got about 11, 12, sometimes 14 knots of wind. So we'll make our way out this way a bit. There's Chicago. If you kind of see Chicago, a few of the buildings anyway. We're pretty far away, so only the big ones show up. But we'll sail out this way a little bit, and then we'll make another tack here a little bit later and make our way back somewhere right over there. I think will be our anchorage for the night. So we'll see what this brings, and then we'll end up back kind of right there by the dunes. I hope we'll get a couple more miles under our keel today. I'm grabbing some quick lunch, some yogurt, and some cold pizza, and a beer, of course. and then we'll have a good meal tonight. So we have sailed out 5 miles or so offshore. I just tacked. This should put 30 miles under the keel today. I'm on a nice beam reach headed back to Mount Baldy in that area. I was making a good 6 knots or more. The winds are about 13 knots apparent. And should be back to the anchorage now around 3 o'clock. And we'll see what we do from there. I got the Notre Dame football game on, listening to it at least. Notre Dame's up 14-0. It's chilly. Temperature's reading about 60 to 63 degrees outside. Water temp's a little bit warmer at 72, so who knows? I might still take a swim once we get to the anchorage. But anyway, we're just enjoying a sail. Nowhere to go, no time frame for anything much today. And it was cool looking at Chicago and headed that way, thinking, well, maybe we just sail all the way to Chicago. That would have been a long sail. We would have got there at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock at night if the winds held up. But I think we'll just head back to the anchorage and see how bad the waves are there and see if we can spend the night there. Part of the reason we need to check it out is if it's bad, we need to come up with plan B. Either sail back to the marina tonight or try to go more towards Michigan City. We're not far from the Michigan City marina, but I don't feel like paying to spend the night anywhere. So I don't think they really have any good places just to anchor there. So. Anyway, we're going to sail this way and see what the waves are like. Stuff falling down all over the place down there. A little bit of a heel going here. 21, 22 degrees according to my Apple measurement app. So I think I'll put this thing down and I will focus on sailing for now, and we'll catch you probably when we get to the anchorage. Well, we're still plowing away back to the dunes. It's 20 minutes to 3. We should be there around 3 o'clock, I think. You can see maybe that big smokestack, and then you see the white, those are dunes there off to the right of that. Like 4 different patches of white and then one other big one. So that's the dunes in Mount Baldy, I believe. So that's what we're aiming for. Hopefully there's no boats there and we can find a good place to anchor for the night. Winds are still kind of a northeast maybe. Waves aren't bad. Hopefully it won't be too bad up along the shoreline, and we'll be able to anchor there. Air temperature is about 61 degrees. Water temperature is about 72 degrees. So water's warmer than the air right now. So we'll probably be about 30 nautical miles under our keel today by the time we hit the anchorage. Haven't seen too many boats, very few, but a couple. And looks like right now most everybody must have gone home because there aren't too many boats. Any boats really visible. So we're just gonna keep plugging away here, get to the anchorage, drop the sails, and set the anchor, and then we'll figure out what to do from there. But we're still plugging away. 14 knots of wind, beam reach. I just rolled up the jib to the second reef. we were heeled over 25, almost 30 degrees at times. We didn't need quite that much sail up, so we've dropped that a little bit, and still got the full mainsail up for now. Don't know that we need to drop that. It's chilly. Still got my winter, or my sailing jacket on, and a wool cap. Hopefully we get to the anchorage, get out of the wind a little bit. It's 60 degree air temperature. That wind feels a little bit chilly. So we'll have more after we hit the anchorage. Figure out what that boat is over there. See if I can get a close up on it. Look at it later. Passenger boat looks like. Oh, he's on the move now, whatever he is. Looks like a party boat. Can't tell what's all on there, but looks like people on there. Maybe like a dinner cruise. I think I'm going as fast as he is. So that is the Amita. I spoke to her captain just a minute ago and just told him I was going to hold my course, and he saw me and knew where I was. Some kind of a passenger boat of some kind. I'm not sure. But there, he's going to cut off away from me. Maybe he'll pull up alongside of me the other way. Well, that doesn't look very picturesque. Like a picturesque place to anchor, really. But what I'm hoping is if I get up close to the shore up there, and there's this long, this thing where the power plant and that break wall's out there, that maybe that'll give me a little bit of a less rolly anchorage. It's like there's one boat up there now, people on the beach, but we're gonna motor up there. We're motor sailing again. We got enough wind, but it's right on our nose, so we're just motor sailing, keeping a close eye on the depths. We're gonna see if we can tuck in up there and drop the anchor someplace right in front of that big cooling tower, I think. At least that's kind of that's the thought right this minute. So we'll see if that's a decent place to drop the anchor. Quite a few more boats out now. The Michigan City Marina is right on the other side of that break. Well, we made it to the anchorage finally. We are just outside of the Michigan City Harbor. All right, so now I'll show you a little better. That's the power station cooling tower here in Michigan City. I don't know if that's still the power station or if that's been decommissioned. Not sure. You can see the Michigan City lighthouse, break wall, and lighthouse out there. So the winds are not, it's not quite what I was hoping. It's really kind of coming more from the north. And so we are getting a little bit of a chop here. It's not horrible, and I'm sure it'll probably lay down some as the night progresses, I hope. We're not far from shore, but we are in 10 feet of water here. I am keeping a very close eye on the depth sounder, just because it's hard to tell if that anchor's dug in well. The water is pretty
murky right now from the north wind and waves. And so I can't really tell how well, I can't see the anchor, I can't tell how well dug in it is. I've got about 30 feet of chain and rode out. The boat's dancing around a lot on the anchor, so it's really kind of hard to tell anything, quite honestly. So I'm just keeping a close eye on the depth gauge. If it stays 10 feet, you know, I feel okay. If it starts dropping below that, I set an alarm on there to go off at 6 feet. You know, and if something happened, I got to get the engine started and start trying to get out of here as quickly as possible. So the key's in the ignition, ready to go if we need to. It's just it's pretty choppy right now, rolly, and so I don't know how this is going to be for sleeping tonight. I'm hoping as the evening comes on that the winds will die down and the waves will lay down some. Winds they're only blowing 7 knots right now, so it's not horrible, and hopefully it'll lay down even more as evening comes on. The big thing is just the depth gauge and make sure we're not drifting. We wouldn't have far to go to get into really shallow water here. And I kind of wish I would have dropped the anchor 10 feet deeper, out there a little bit farther to give myself some extra room, but I was thinking the closer to shore, the less choppy, and we're not getting much protection at all from the break wall or any of that, which is kind of what I was hoping, but we're just too far away and the winds are coming almost directly from the north. So, we're just gonna keep watching this and make sure that the anchor doesn't drag and we don't fall backwards towards the shore. And we'll keep a very close eye on the depth gauge here and see what happens there, and hopefully everything will be just fine. I mean, if things really got ugly for some reason, I pull the anchor and I could go into the Michigan City Marina. It's right over there. I can see the sailboat masts from here. Would imagine you could probably get a transient slip there, but I just assume not if I can help it. I just don't know if I can. If these winds and waves don't die down, this will be a rocky night here. I don't know that I care so much about the rocking. I mean, I probably do, but just the fear that we're going to pull back, drift backwards into the sand, into the beach, is scary. So I wouldn't sleep well, probably. So anyway, I'm going to putz around here and do a few things, and just keep watching the depth gauge, keep an eye on the wind speed, and see if the wind and waves die down some, and that we don't drag our anchor. So we'll have some more later. Area. You can see the dunes in the background. Kind of picturesque spot, I guess. Hold on. All right. Well, we're still anchored here at the Mount Baldy Dunes, just outside of Michigan City, Indiana. That's the cooling tower at the power plant here in Michigan City, and you can see the Michigan City lighthouse, which is at the end of the break wall there, and that's the entrance to the Michigan City Marina. We're anchored in 10 feet of water, but we're pretty close to the shore. Probably should have anchored out a little bit farther just to make sure we were in a good spot, but I've been keeping a close eye on the depth. and hasn't changed. Hasn't really changed. We were dancing around the anchor a lot. There's 7 to 10 knots of wind, and we are kind of sailing around the anchor, so we the depth changes, but it hasn't gone too low. I have an alarm set. I'll probably change it to something less than, or something more than 6 feet, but right now it'll sound the alarm if we drift into 6 feet of water. We draw 4.5, so I guess if we were drifting backwards, I'd have a very short amount of time to get the engine running and pull the anchor and get off of the sand there or whatever. The water's very murky today because of all the waves, so it's hard to see how deep we are. I assume we're in sandy bottom. I cannot see the anchor. I think she's dug in now. Like I said, we were bobbing around quite a bit and dancing around on the anchor, and we haven't changed our depth at all, so I'm thinking that we're okay. So while I'm killing time, just trying to make sure everything's going to be okay to sleep here. I'm hoping the waves die down a bit and the wind dies down a little bit. But, while I was screwing around, I put the last tread on my ladder. It's actually the one down in the water, so you can't see it, but I may try it. I may try the ladder out. The water temp is 68. Air temperature is about 60. Down in the cabin, it's about 69. So I could, take a swim and then jump in the cabin to dry off and all that. Kind of thinking I might do that anyway, just to get cleaned off. It's not like I was hot today though, so I'm not really all that sweaty, so I guess I don't have to do it if I don't want to. But we might just see how it feels. I think the hard part will be getting back out, but we'll see. So anyway, that's where we're at. I also ran, while I was killing time, I ran my second reef line for the mainsail. So now the first and second reefs are both single line reefing. I think I figured out what I was doing wrong and the way I set it up before, and so now I think I've got it right. I still have to practice a little bit because one of the keys is putting dropping the sail to the right height, and then tightening the halyard there and then reefing it down, I think. Otherwise it has a tendency to pull the tack down lower than the clew, the front of the sail down further than the back of the sail. And I did that today, and I realized I probably should have tightened the halyard first above, where I think it's supposed to be, and then tighten the reef line. So that's what I'm going to do. But practice makes perfect. So anyway, so we're gonna barbecue on a little portable grill tonight out here. I think it's supposed to be cool tonight, but I think on the water temp being almost 70 should help keep things a little warmer, I would think, but I guess we'll find out tonight. So right now my only real concern is do the waves subside by bedtime? Do we feel comfortable that we're anchored really tight, not going to drift, and all that. So right now we're showing 11.4 feet of water, and that's because we're kind of dancing around the anchor a little bit, and And when we kind of point to the east, we pick up some depth. When we point to the north, our stern swings closer to shore, then we lose a little bit of depth. But again, it hasn't dropped below 10 point something, and it goes up as high as 11.6, 11.7, 11.8. So anyway, I think we're good. I think I'm gonna try to man up here and get ready for a swim. Not sure what time it is, probably around 5 o'clock. So I ate a little bit of a late lunch today, sailing. So I'll save that for a little bit later. I'll let you know if I go for a swim. Way we're pointed. The more east we point, the deeper the water. The more north we point, the shallower the water. But I really don't think we've moved at all. And I've got an anchor alarm, or a depth alarm really, set to go off if we go shallower than 8 feet. So that's important. We'd know that. We'd have to start the engine and motor away from the beach quickly if that were to happen. I'm going to keep the key in the ignition and be ready to go if something were to happen. But I still think the winds will die down some. Right now we're at about 7.9 knots right off the nose. Well, you'd expect it to be right off the nose. But there's still a little bit of a chop, and I'm hoping that these lay down a little bit because the sun sets and the winds drop a little bit more. Sun's just hitting the water now, or hitting the horizon out there now. The other thing I found is that that 12.1, that's our battery voltage. So I'm trying to keep an eye on the battery voltage. That's on just one battery, so we're keeping a spare battery in reserve for tomorrow. We're gonna have to turn the anchor light on pretty soon, but we can turn off. I've got the wind instrument on and the autopilot on right now. The autopilot's only on because it's tied into the circuit that does a cigarette lighter thing down at the nav station. So I can't charge anything up down there without having the autopilot on. I'm gonna rewire that one of these days, I think. Anyway, so the sun is setting. We're having our sundowner here as the sun sets. A little Tanqueray and tonic. I think we're going to try to tough this out tonight. I don't feel like we're moving at all. If anything, it's a little, it's going to be a little rolly, but I'm hoping as the sun sets, the wind dies down, and the waves kind of subside a little bit. I don't know what it'll be like to sleep down there. That'll be the big question. So we'll keep an eye on that and see. It's a little late to do anything about it now. I don't think I want to sail all the way back to East Chicago. It's 25 miles or so. So I guess we will let that sun disappear. We'll have some dinner. We'll keep an eye on things and kind of figure out just how this is going to work. So we're 23 miles from our East Chicago. Well, there, the sun disappeared in a big hurry, didn't it? We're 23 miles from East Chicago, so that'll be our challenge tomorrow. But tonight, I think we're going to try to weather the rolly angle. We'll keep a close eye on the depth. We'll listen for the alarm, and hopefully for the night. And wake up tomorrow morning to a beautiful day to sail back to East Chicago. So I'm gonna go make my dinner now, and we'll have a little more later. Anchorage here. Check the.
Well, good morning. It's Sunday. We survived the night. This is our view off our back porch this morning. Picturesque when you're not bobbing around a lot and worried about moving. Well, picturesque till you see that thing. Good news is, as we look around, there's not a lot of wind, but there is a very light south wind, which we should be able to ride home today, I would think. There's a boat out there. I think he might have anchored there last night. Why can't I see him? It's a white boat, but he's not visible. Oh, there he is. He's too far out there. I thought I saw a boat there last night. It's a sailboat. Anyway, picturesque spot. There's a boat, but he's motoring. Looks like to me. Everything. Went to the bathroom and did get up again. Get up until this morning at 7:30. So, not that I slept really all that time, but anyway, we're here. I got the water on for coffee. Important things like that first. Coffee, then we'll make some breakfast, and then we'll head on out. So we'll have some more later. The water's pretty glassy around me. Still can't see the bottom at all because of the churned up sands and stuff in the water, I guess. But anyway, we survived the night. It was kind of rolly. The alarms never went off, thank goodness. I got up once at around 11, I think. Checked on everything. Well, we got breakfast cooking on the stove this morning. A little bit of French toast and some sausage. French press coffee. All good. It was cold last night, 50 degrees in the cabin. So I boiled some water to make coffee, and I put the leftover in the sink. And I'm resting my butter in there and the maple syrup, so it's not all super cold when I go to eat it. Looks like the butter's about softened up a little bit. So just a trick I learned back in my camping days. Heat it up, put it in some warm water, let it warm up a little bit. Anyway, so it's a little after 8. In the morning, we're gonna get breakfast done here, clean up, and then we'll be headed home today. We got a light breeze from the south, so we should be able to sail. If it's too light, we could maybe try the spinnaker, but we'll wait on that and see how things are going. Let's get breakfast done. Well, we're off doing our thing, still sailing. Back that up a little bit, don't need close up this morning. So the boat's steering itself after autopilot. Kind of excited about, I found a setting on the chart plotter that will actually monitor our battery voltage, and you can set an alarm to tell you when it's below a certain voltage. So I have the voltage alarm on and set for 11 volts. If it got below 11, then I'd start the engine or switch to the other battery. Not quite sure how the voltage works because it seems like it goes up and down. I thought it would only go down as the battery is used, but I guess if it is being drawn down and then you stop drawing it. Hold on, I might have to take over for auto here. Struggling a bit. Sorry about that. Had a huge old gust of wind there that rounded the boat up. Auto can't quite handle that. Alright, we're back under. It was like 15 knots. Anyway, so I can monitor the battery voltage right from the chart plotter, which is pretty cool. So right now it says 11.6 volts. That's on one battery. Like I said, if it got too low, we could change it, but it was 11.9 or so last night, I think, when I went to bed. So, oh yeah, I forgot to turn the anchor light off too. Should do that. Anyway, we are making our way. This extra wind is, giving us a big boost now. So instead of getting home at 3, we're gonna get home at 1 or something. So that'll be good to give us a chance to clean up the boat a bit. It's kind of trashed inside and out. I didn't get a chance to hose her down before I left, and the inside's got a lot of floor dirty. So we'll get something cleaned up there. I still can't see our destination out there. I'm just really following the heading that GPS is telling me to take. The chart plotter. I can't see the East Chicago Marina at all, so I see a smokestack. I thought that might be the inland or the middle steel, but now I'm not so sure. That might be U.S. steel. So we'll just follow the chart plotter heading and, until we get close enough to see the casino or something. All right, more later. Well, it is a pretty morning out. It's fun ghosting by the beach. Pretty far out today compared to yesterday, but we made our way all the way up from the Dunes Beach House, which is over there. And we made our way all the way up to Beverly Shores. We're pretty close to it. And then we tacked out into the lake for a while before we tacked back towards shore and ended up at the Michigan City Mount Baldy dunes. Anyway, it's a nice morning for sail. Winds are a little variable. Like right now, we're only at 8.5 knots. It was double that a little bit ago. The warmth is starting to come in. I've got two fleeces on. Because it was chilly there this morning, especially in that wind. Sunlight feels good. I might have to sit and face the sun. Let's get warmed up that way. Put a little sunscreen on this morning. I don't know if it was windburn or sunburn from yesterday, but my face was a little bit red from yesterday's sail. I guess I was out 6 hours. Maybe that's why. You don't think about it though when you're all dressed up head to toe like this. But anyway, I did put on some sunscreen this morning. So as long as the wind stays kind of light, I think I can set my chair up, watch the beach go by, and just be ready if the winds really pick up and I have to take over, which it feels like they're going to do right about now. Let's see if Otto can handle it. It gets overpowered, especially when the winds go from 8 to 12 very quickly. But he handled that one all right. I guess I didn't have to. One thing Otto does a whole lot better than me is he holds our compass heading, much better than I do. I don't know if you can see that. We're trying to bear 265, and when I'm doing it, we're kind of all over the place, but Otto holds it at, I got him set at 266, 267, I guess. But he does okay. He does better than I do keeping her fairly on course, unless he gets overwhelmed by a big gust of air. And that's just because we got so much sail up, right? If we had reefed the jib or reefed the main, he'd probably handle it a lot better. But then when the winds are light, then you're not going very fast. We'll put up with a little bit of gusty full sails. All right, more later. Well, in typical fashion here in the Chicago harbor, winds always pick up, seems like, when we get over here. So we got about 12 or 13, sometimes 14 knots off our port quarter, rear quarter. And it's pushing us 6 knots. So if you add those two together, it's like 18, 16, 18, up to 20 knots of wind, really. True wind. It's pushing us down and away. So it's a pretty good sail. We're getting, like I said, 6 knots downwind. So we saw a big Laker ship. I doubt you can out, but he was over here, I think, leaving the Lehigh cement factory place. We had to keep an eye on him. Other than that, we haven't really seen too many boats. A few power boats buzzing around, but nothing much. I put the Mac pack back up and the lazy jacks. Tighten them a little bit before we drop the sail, but put that up while the winds were kind of light, because it almost always accelerates here in this harbor for some reason. But anyway, we're getting close. This sailing journey is coming to an end. We're about 4.5 miles from the marina. We've gone 53.8 miles so far today, or well, between the 2 days. So it's been a good epic 2020 sail. My phone rang a little bit ago. It was Doug Bradley calling, FaceTiming. It's Kathy's uncle up in Nova Scotia or New Brunswick, I forget which. Anyway, I told him we probably should maybe chat later, since I'm gonna have my hands full here in a little bit. I did get both of the reefing lines run, so that's there you go. That's one of them. That's the second, or the first reef, the one you would go first. So it's got a little block right there on that ring, and it pulls the tack of the sail down, that ring down. It also runs through the boom. And then this white line here is the first reef line, and so it pulls that down and backwards while it's pulling that
think it'll work pretty good. And I have the second reef rigged up on the other side. You can see it. I'm hoping that it'll make reefing easier if we have to. I've played around with it a little bit and seems to work okay. I think the key is making sure you figure out where to drop the halyard to, so that those blocks can't pull the tack of the sail down any further than a boom. So that I have to mark both reef spots. I did the first reef yesterday. I think it's about right. I haven't tried the second reef. I've never used the second reef as far as I can remember, but I guess if you need it, it's a little late to start trying to figure it out. Anyway, our sail's coming to a close here. We're still monitoring our battery. We're at 11.4 volts on our number 1 battery. We'll see if that'll start the engine. I think it will. But we've got number 2 battery in reserve should we need it. We will. I was gonna shoot back out onto the lake for a little bit more sail, but to try to get to 60 miles, but I think I'm probably not going to do that. I do have some cleaning up to do, packing up stuff, so I think I'll say 58 miles was not a bad weekend, and we'll have some more later. Well, the epic sailing weekend has come to a close. I'm driving home now from the marina. It turned out pretty good. Cut a one night off the trip because of the lake conditions on Friday, and it just would have been horrible trying to sleep out there. Couldn't have done it really. Last night started out a little bit iffy because of all the north wind and waves, even though it did shift around to the east, eventually to the south this morning, but it was pretty rocky till at least 11 o'clock last night. Probably longer than that, but that was the last time I actually got up. But a great sail back home today. We had a pretty consistent 10 to 15 knots southeast maybe. Sometimes it was pushing us from behind a little bit. Other times it was a good beam reach. But we made a good 23 miles today. And 32 the day before, so 58 miles in total, I guess. So it was a good weekend. Glad I got it in. Not sure that we'll have too many good weekends after this. Kathy's birthday is next week. Mine's the following week, and then we're into October, so who knows if we'll get any sailing in then. But anyway, boat's put away, and she performed extremely well. I really enjoy that boat, and we'll do it all again next year.